I know it was a very exhausting couple of weeks for Tesla investors. And believe me, not just for Tesla investors. It was the absolute horror show. I have rarely seen something that bad as for a month in July. And you know what happened? Leopold Aschenbrenner's situation awareness got kicked out of the market. He's still having his little fund, but he had to liquidate a huge chunk of his positions, sell it to Ken Griffin, this super shark. And I reported on this yesterday. But today it's back to bread and butter here to talk about Tesla, because we haven't talked about Tesla for a few days now. And you know what happened to Tesla? I warned everyone before the earnings call that I'm lightening up dramatically on Tesla because I had a very bad I was very sure that this can't be a good call, and that was the right call. I got a little creamed then on my Micron play, so that didn't play out too well. I think it black zero somewhere around there, but there was definitely no alpha in Micron. With the insanity that ensued this week, I can't even believe it was this week. It seemed like decades ago. So on Wednesday, we had this giant sell-off after the Fed meeting, even though the Fed meeting was super bullish and great, but there was forced selling. It was the Leopold Aschenbrenner effect. That sometimes happened, and everyone got slaughtered on it, including Tesla, but the entire market. And then we saw this big snapback. What do I think of Tesla now? We have a lot of discussions. We have SpaceX earnings coming up next week, and people are nervous about it. I'm becoming more constructive at these prices. I got out at 366. We are now at 310. What we saw in the last 5 days, I'm not totally out, by the way. I remain in the small core position, but I'm under invested compared to where I want to be. So I am now going back in. I just went back in today to the full core position, not more, because I think the risk reward here is pretty good. This sell-off was just bad. I knew something bad is happening. Can we go lower from here? Sure, we have to watch the market and keep watching the market. We know that robotaxi and everything is a little delayed and people are not too optimistic about it. But I think we have hit now peak depression sentiment. And one thing that I want to make very clear when it comes to this Tesla discussions, you guys always need to look at the entire market. And Tesla didn't behave that weird. If you compare to Google, for example, Google dropped 7% with Tesla after earnings. They had parallel earnings. That's a lot of dropping for Google. Of course, Google recovered quicker than Tesla. And I'm not saying Tesla is in great shape, but here I am just sensing, when you look at the entire market, that we are potentially now in a process of getting over this horrible July. You look at here, the NASDAQ down 3.44%. Do we have month to date? No, this starts June 30th. Yeah, that's kind of, so we are only down 3.44% after going up 3% on Thursday. And I do think, as you all know, that this is not a time to be actually too worried about. We saw like a big breather we took. Here is the long-term chart of the market. So my takeaway is, yeah, Tesla is underperforming the market a little bit. I think it will keep underperforming the market until we see some movements, but that doesn't mean it has to drop. It will not drop if the market goes up. So what we have to understand is, what is the market doing? The market is now in a situation where we are ready to go on the next leg of the rally. AI is here to stay. We have a lot of things happening in AI. DeepSeek just on Friday released its new Flash version, which is absolutely mind-boggling. So all of that stuff is in full swing. We have seen the Microsoft earnings. We have seen the Amazon earnings. Both blew it out of the water. And these are the most important hyperscalers. On Asia, absolutely stunning numbers Microsoft had. On Amazon AWS, absolutely stunning numbers. And accordingly, these stocks are up by a lot. These giant stocks. Look at Amazon today, 15%, like Microsoft. Unbelievable performance. Chris Camillo made a total killing. You have to listen to his story with Amazon. Amazing story. Chris is the master of his trade. I'm a big Chris fan. He went all into Amazon, did a little risky options play in my opinion, but he succeeded again. but it wasn't easy. And so why is this important for Tesla? Because we see with Amazon and Microsoft, I said it on Wednesday in the panic attack after the Fed. I said if Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon, if at least two of them come out positive, Meta missed a little bit, even though on the cloud side, I don't even think that we have to be too concerned. But Meta is also much less important than Amazon and Microsoft in terms of the AI game. And we see now with both Amazon and Microsoft, we've absolutely greenlight these giant hyperscalers, the two most important hyperscalers, maybe together with Google, who also killed it. But Amazon and Microsoft might be even more important than Google. The AI trade is in full swing now. And we will see the market recover based on that. Because, Micron and all these, crazy infrastructure plays were sold off like insane. Now we're getting back into, in my opinion, the next leg of the rally. We are ready to do that. And that will be good for Tesla. Hey, on this channel, we do something very important. We deeply analyze, understand, and predict capital, AGI, and politics. Not just to beat the markets and make a lot of money, even though that's important, but also to build a new society and make the future good for all of us, the pioneers. If you want to help me on this journey, you can do that by doing a very simple thing, like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. Thank you so much for your support, and let's get back to the video. So this is the chart you have to watch for Tesla, because in the end, it's always the same mistake everyone makes, that you're too focused on a singular stock when you want to predict the stock price. Most of these stocks only rarely deviate from the market. Of course, I think Tesla is not in the greatest tactical short-term position, but we have been selling off like crazy after earnings. Now we are fine, in my opinion, and we are ready to creep back to 360 pretty quickly, in my opinion, if the market gets back its footing. That is what I think is going to happen. And so I'm putting on my Tesla position, and let's see how this goes. And there's lots of people out there who do all kinds of technical analysis, and I am a big critic of technical analysis. It's like, it's good to look at that stuff, but what is much more, you have basically three things you have to do, or you can do. You have fundamental analysis, okay? I'm a big fan of that. You can forget all your technical analysis stuff if there's a fundamental thing happening. You can do all the charts in the world. If they roll out tomorrow 10,000 cyber caps, say goodbye to your charts. So it's much more important to predict these fundamental things. Or as Chris Camillo did with Amazon, to be ahead of the game with alpha on your research into earnings, for example. I'm never doing earnings, that's too complicated, but he was very good in absolutely nailing Amazon. I had extremely high conviction. He said 200 hours of research into Amazon, and I believe him. He's doing a good job on that side. Same what we are doing here. I'm a big fan of fundamental analysis and understanding what's going on. That's why I became a little less bullish, because I think we will have a delay in robotaxi from my initial prediction that we are at 15,000 end of this year deployed robotaxis. I think it could happen, but I'm pushing that into Q1. I think then it will happen, yes. It could happen this year, but I'm less confident. I think it's more likely that it happens 3 or 6 months delayed. I would bet on 3 months delayed by March. Let's see. So because of that, I became tactically less bullish. But that does not mean we cannot very quickly get back to 360. And that's actually a lot of appreciation, right? We are only at 300 now. So if you go up 50, that's 15% plus up. And I think that can just happen with the market. And so that is why I am cautiously getting back into the game, or half cautiously. And, from there, we can just keep watching what's happening. But we don't need any action on the Tesla side to go back to 360. We just need the market to go up. And I think the market is setting up very nicely to do exactly that. So just want to give you this quick update on the strategy here on the Tesla side. The next big thing we are working on here with the analysts is looking into Colossus 2 and 3 and maybe 4 for SpaceX to predict a little better what's coming. I don't know how important the earnings call will be. Maybe they will actually announce some things there, but I don't know how important announcements are in this crazy market. I think results are more important. We have, of course, I can give you a little teaser. We have, of course, some reports here from Gavin Baker, but it's not from Gavin Baker. He's just reporting about another report. I do not agree with this report. I think it's exaggerated. I think it's too bullish. I do not think that SpaceX will deploy 4 gigawatts this year. I think that's a little ridiculous if you ask me. We can be lucky if they deploy 2 gigawatts. That's a lot. And maybe they do another 2 next year. I think we have to be a little reasonable. I don't trust this report. And what we as Tesla investors have to understand is, and the earnings call for SpaceX next week will shed more light on that, how tightly is SpaceX and Tesla actually connected? Do we see any kind of relationship between these two stocks? If SpaceX drops a lot after earnings or goes up a lot after earnings, I think going up is more likely than dropping at this point, by the way. But let's see. SpaceX is still hard to predict because the price discovery by the market has not been completed, hasn't even really started. We need to see these unlocks that start next week, August 6th. We see the first big share unlock where more shares come into, much more shares come into the market for SpaceX, which will create selling pressure. That is why everyone is holding back on buying the stock, including me, because no one knows what actually happens when the selling pressure happens. I think next week will be a total revelation for SpaceX. I will have an extra video on that coming out in the next couple of days where we look at SpaceX and what it might do. In the meantime, we will keep looking at Tesla. Here's a little fake news thing. Maybe you've seen this, that Wall Street Journal reported that Tesla is considering selling China, its Chinese division, in conjunction with the merger. Then Elon says it's fake news. And he says this has never come up in a discussion ever. Absolutely fake news. And I think we can forget about this. It's probably some junior banker or something started discussing this and leaked it to the Wall Street Journal. I think it doesn't matter at all. Here, look at this. I mean, they just want clicks. So I would discount that. And that is my take for now on Tesla. Let's just see what the market does. We will follow the market for now. All the action has been done. The damage has been done. And now it's time to creep back up, assuming the market does what I think it will do. So, big picture, AI play is on. The little tantrum that Leopold and Ken and the little games playing the market, Ken playing Leo, playing the market, is probably over at this point. The market has had it, worst July ever, and we are ready to continue the bull run. That is my take. Good for Tesla, maybe even better for other stocks, but we have high conviction on Tesla. That's why I'm putting on the core position again. I hope that was interesting. SpaceX coming up soon. Until then.